Hello, everybody. Welcome to another workshop. My name is Eliora. If you haven't met me before, I am a workshop facilitator and a health and wellness coach. I've been working in this field for the past 8 years, both with youth and adults, and I'm very passionate about supporting people and encouraging them to become the best version of themselves and really succeeding in whatever area of their life that they're working on. And today we are going to be speaking about the concept of cultivating resilience and overcoming imposter syndrome. How do we really become strong, stable, empowered practitioners and professionals in whatever it is that we do, and overcoming whatever self doubt or sense of being an imposter in some field and really tuning into our strength and well being? So let's jump into it. First, we're going to begin by understanding what is resilience and how do we build more of it. So, first of all, we're going to understand that resilience is the ability to endure challenges, meaning that it's a personal ability, a capacity, a tendency to be able to see something that's difficult, something that is not pleasant that happens in our life, and really be able to take that rather than running away from it, but seeing that as an opportunity for growth, as a situation that is making us stronger and more capable in the future. And going through the entire process of whatever it has to teach us and not running away from it. Resiliency is the capacity to remain calm and composed during tests and trying times. So, oftentimes, when we have a test or some kind of a challenge, our instinct, our impulse is to just get frustrated and run away from it and maybe do something fun that feels really good, like eat something like junk food or go watch something just to distract ourselves. Um, Going through tests is not fun. It's not easy. It's something that is, in some ways, contrary to our natural impulses. But being able to stay calm and composed means that we see the value. We understand that sometimes challenges are part of life. It's what makes us usually more patient, more capable, more composed in the future because we're able to remain collected, we're able to remember the long term vision of whatever it is that we're doing, and we don't collapse during times of hardship. It is also the ability to confront adversity rather than running away from it. So, like I was mentioning before, usually there is a reflex behavior to want to run away from challenge. And unfortunately, in modern society, it's even more prevalent because we are surrounded by so many opportunities that give us a chance to escape. Watching TV, scrolling on social media, going to the corner store to buy something we're really not supposed to be eating. There's so many temptations and abilities for us to escape. But if we're really able to muster our own inner strength and remember that we are here to learn, to grow, to become strong and empowered people, then we're able to confront adversity and we don't run away from it anymore. We're able to see the challenge, to feel the discomfort, and to still go through it, even though it's not fun in the moment. But that's what usually gives us really successful long term fruits in the long term future. Building resiliency also means being able to face tough seasons with courage and character. So in life, it's not always summertime. Sometimes we go through fall or winter where we have storms, we have situations where everything seems to be going wrong, usually all at once. And it can be very frustrating and discouraging. But if you're able to remember that it is really just a season, it's temporary, it's not going to last for the rest of your life. It's usually a moment that's there to build you and to strengthen your character. meaning it's going to make you a better person. Usually, it's going to make you somebody who's a bit more empathic. Maybe you're going to become a more caring person to your community. You're going to become more reliable, more consistent, more stable, more grounded in some area in your life. And that is the meaning and the purpose behind adversity is that it really makes us more capable people and also becomes a better service for our community because usually it is when we go through tests that we're really revealed with our inner strength and we're able to also share that with our community rather than staying indoors in our comfort zone and not really grow. So let's go into a little bit more details into reframing challenges as growth opportunities. The main priority when facing challenges is choosing how we view and interpret them. So, like I was saying earlier, challenge is a part of life. It's something that is built in. It's part of growing and living in this world. The main difference between people who stay stagnant and don't succeed and people who are able to really flourish in life is how we interpret and give meaning to events. So, really, this is where you can choose the story that you give to the events in your life that's going to make a difference. Meaning, if we choose to see a situation as a failure or as a terrible mistake, we don't really feel any kind of encouragement or inspiration to keep going. But if we reframe situations and you think that whatever it is you've experienced was for your benefit and you've learned something from it. And even though it didn't work out 100% like you planned, you did your best and you did learn and you did also share and give a lot of yourself from that situation. And when you reshift the meaning that you give to that event, you'll see that really the event itself starts changing and your future will start changing because you're able to give yourself more empowering stories that are going to give you better actions in the future. Growth opportunity means also that it is the perspective and the meaning that we give to events that highly affects the way we experience a challenge. So think, for example, about situations in your life. Maybe it was in school, at work, or in some social setting where you felt that something went so terribly wrong. And then you had a friend who offered you a different perspective and actually showed you that it was actually really great. And maybe you didn't even see it from that point of view, but just understanding that there is another way to look at things. Usually, when we look at a tough situation, we kind of take a magnifying glass and make it so big and so awful that we just forget that there's anything outside of it. But really trying to keep a really brand and expansive perspective is going to show you that there's more doors, more openings, more opportunities that you haven't seen before. And the more you train your mind to look at events with a more positive mindset, you'll see that there's more solutions behind it. And this is my third point that when we choose to see challenges as growth opportunities, we open new doors for solutions and possibilities we did not see before. So, a lot of the time when you face an issue, let's say, for example, at work, you might feel like an imposter. Maybe there's a situations where you think somebody is doing a better job than you, you're not really good enough, somebody could do it better, some kind of a thought like that that doesn't really empower you. What you could do is really think that actually you're capable and you have gone through many situations in your life up until this moment to lead you to this success. And you're actually going to grow from it. And you're going to also show other people that you're a human being. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to perform at 100% all the time. All you can do is do your best and give the best that you can, and a lot of the time, it's actually your humanity rather than your perfection that what people are looking for. People are all struggling and facing their own challenges in different ways. And when you're able to see the solutions and see that there's an opportunity behind it, you're going to succeed much further. I'll give you a personal example from my own life. I used to work with at risk youth with very tough situations where I worked with teenagers who were very, very emotional. And sometimes we had all sorts of struggles with trying to encourage them to stay at school and not drop out. And I remember there were times where I did definitely want to give up and I didn't have the energy or the capacity to endure that situation. But I remember all of a sudden when I started to really listen to them and think, what are some creative solutions we could reach? We were able to talk to their teachers and mentors and see that there's other ways, for example, that they could complete exams, other ways that they could reach their goals without having to burn out, without having to drop out of school. And it was just that sense of perseverance and enduring a situation. And we were also able to work as a team that eventually was able to bring really good results where it was a win-win situation. And the only way we could reach that was really just to keep going and not give up. So let's look at some tools to recognize and combat feelings of inadequacy. First of all, remember that feeling inadequate at times is normal and natural. So really try to remember that, like I said before, we're all human. We make sometimes errors. We're not always at our top performance. And feeling sometimes like you're not the best at your game is okay. It's natural. It's something that everybody goes through at times. Even the most successful businessmen, the most successful actors, or people in the arts, they all go through these seasons and these cycles, and that's okay. And I think that really giving yourself the space and just the welcoming of those tough times is really important to give you also time to rest and recharge. The second thing is recall all of your achievements in the past that allowed you to arrive to the position you are in today and remind yourself of your successes. So a lot of time we think of how we could do better, how we can improve, how we can achieve more, and we forget all the things we've done in the past. Think about all the things you've accomplished until now, whether it's school, maybe you've passed, certain exams, maybe you succeeded in certain topics that you thought you wouldn't. Think about work, all the maybe achievements, the awards in sports or in whatever programs or creative situations where you were able to challenge yourself and push yourself beyond your limits. It could be in social situations you were maybe able to speak up for yourself or do something that really scared you. All those situations are things that build you until this present moment. And the more you reflect on how much you succeeded and really did well until now, it's going to give you that sense of that you are actually adequate and you are capable, and really celebrate yourself in those areas. The third thing is try to focus as much as possible on future solutions rather than past mistakes. So, oftentimes, when things don't go our way, we tend to dwell on the past. Maybe we get ruminating thoughts or we get stagnated on nostalgia or like reflecting over and over again on a negative thought. And that really takes us away from our power and it doesn't allow us to create new things in the future. So find the balance because it is important to be present with your feelings and you don't want to repress your past. You want to accept it. But as much as you can, be in the present moment, which is your moment of power. And this is where you create solutions for the future. So really think that accepting the past, it cannot change. You can learn from it, and now you can create new situations. So in future decisions, you're going to learn from it. And that's going to give you a lot of strength because you're going to remember that you're always improving. There's always a fresh start, there's always a new day, and there's always opportunities around you everywhere you go if you remember that. And number four, talk and share how you feel with a trusted colleague, counselor, or a close friend. So, this is also really important because we are social creatures, and as much as sometimes we want to be very independent and strong in the world, it's also really important to have a strong network of people that can encourage you during times when you don't feel like you want to carry on. So it can be somebody at work, somebody like a counselor, a therapist, or a friend that you really, really trust, somebody that is going to keep what you tell them confidential and they're going to remind you of all of your successes and all the possibilities and positive opportunities that are available for you, and they're going to push you forward. And it is really important because a lot of the time today, people tend to isolate and they feel lonely in this journey. So it is important to also have the courage to reach out and seek support when you need it, because that's going to help you to also feel that sense of inner strength and also remember that you're a part of a greater community that's at whole. Okay, let's start looking into some tools to enhance your perseverance skills. So, first of all, remember that your daily choices of how you think and feel determines your future decisions and choose them carefully. So, really remember that your thoughts and your emotions affect how you see reality, and your thoughts are so, so powerful. They can literally change, and like a painting with a paintbrush, they can paint your reality with a feeling like everything is terrible, is nothing is working out, and there's no solutions. Or you can choose to think thoughts that are going to produce positive emotions that are going to start giving you strength and optimism to continue to go out to the world, to try again, even if you fall, to rise again. Just like that saying says, it doesn't matter how many times you fall, what matters is how many times you get up. And that is the power of resiliency, is that doesn't mean that you don't feel frustrated or you don't fall sometimes. But what matters is that extra step, that 1% even of just greater strength that you continue to carry on. And as long as you don't quit, you're always going to succeed because you just keep going. The second thing is choose weekly practices to encourage your presence and self awareness, like deep breathing, meditation, or journaling. So, these practices are so important because they're going to help you to ground in the present moment and also connect with your deepest parts of yourself, the parts that maybe don't always get seen, like the more subconscious, behind the scenes parts of ourselves, maybe fears, maybe certain limitations, things that require some attention. But oftentimes they're the more quiet, subtle voices that if we don't sit and write them down or listen and really tune into ourselves, we oftentimes don't see them. So practice a few times a week, either some deep breathing or do some writing, do some meditation, something that is going to bring you back to yourself and pull you away from all the distractions and all the noises of the world, and just it's going to give you a lot of strength and rootedness in your own self, in your own being, and what really matters to you and what you care about and who you are as a person. And lastly, practice endurance through the week through physical exercise that will build your confidence and give you strength to endure emotional and mental challenges. So remember really that there's a strong correlation between our body, mind, and spirit and heart. The more strong we are physically, the better thoughts and the better quality of emotions and experiences we're going to have. So this, of course, goes also to nutrition. Hydration and exercise. This is something personally that I practice. I try to practice a few times a week some strength training or some kind of endurance training that really gives me that sense of building resilience through feeling that discomfort. I'm sure all of you have had that moments when you go to the gym and it's so painful and so uncomfortable, but then you come back home afterwards and you feel so good because your muscles have grown and your body, your metabolism is working right, you're eating right. And that's really going to make a big difference in your mental game because the more discipline and routine you're able to create with your physical body is going to slowly trickle down also into your mental and emotional resilience. Here are some examples from daily life that can also encourage you and really help you overcoming any sense of imposter syndrome or feeling lack of resiliency. First of all, remember all the skills that you had learned in the past, for instance, in school programs, and remember how much you have grown and how competent you already are in many areas. So this is where what one thing that could be really helpful is like you see sometimes when you go to like a doctor's office or somebody that have managed to create a lot in their life, they oftentimes hang a lot of certificates on the wall, or like an athlete that has a lot of the awards sitting in the living room, people who print pictures and put them on the fridge of success that they've had. These are all reminders. These are great ways to remind yourself of all the great things you've done until now. You can even put it on your phone or on your computer, have a slideshow or a screensaver or something that gives you inspiration, something that reminds you of all you've done so far. You can print out certificates or awards that you've got throughout your life and just remind yourself how much you've already done. And this can also go into your social arena, go to friends and ask them, what are the things that they appreciate about you or the things that they think you're really good at. And it's all of a sudden you're going to remember that you've actually accomplished much more than maybe you give yourself credit to. And a lot of the time, it is really just putting an emphasis on those things that's going to give you a lot of strength. Also reflect on athletes who go through many trials and make them stronger and more successful. So every time you watch, let's say, a documentary or listen to a podcast or a masterclass of an athlete who gained some kind of a record, maybe they broke a record or they won something that everybody else told them was impossible, but they just kept going. They wake up early, they go through those trainings, and a lot of time athletes really remind all of us as human beings how much we're capable of, because those are usually the people that push themselves to the limits. And a lot of the time, they also speak about this strong mind body connection where a lot of time they practice things like visualization and imagining their success. And a lot of the time, they do a lot of their own meditation, mental training that helps them to really remember their capabilities, and that gives them strength to make those daily choices. Even if it's just a little bit step by step every day, remember that it really is those small moments where you make those healthy decisions that then slowly accumulate and compile into incredible success that you're going to have years later down the road. So really, it's also remembering that time frame that maybe things get tough. Sometimes there's seasons where there's a discomfort, but remember that usually it doesn't last for more than a few minutes or a few hours. And then you're able to step out of it into a bigger perspective and remember that in the long term future, you're so much more capable than maybe you give yourself credit. And just remember to celebrate and keep going and draw strength from other people. I also wanted to include here that there's many successful inventors and artists that were rejected, and they still decided to continue and remain persistent, and they were able to define norms and achieve what people told them was impossible. So we have, for example, Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. And I remember reading of how so many times he had tried and failed many, many times before he was actually able to succeed with his invention. It's something that a lot of scientists talk about. We also have director Steven Spielberg, very, very famous movie maker who is known all over the world with his films, who was actually rejected from film school, and he was diagnosed with dyslexia as a child. And this is something a lot of time people go through when they are diagnosed with some kind of a disability, or they're told by some kind of authority figure that they're not able to succeed. But they were able to challenge whatever people told them was impossible, and they still endured and persevered and were able to achieve incredible things in the world. I also wanted to include Oprah Winfrey, someone who grew up in very challenging circumstances. She didn't have a lot of support. She had a lot of adversity and challenge in her childhood. You can read her biography. She was under very stressful circumstances, and yet she was able to really recruit her strength and her vision for her life. And now she created a business for herself where she's very, very successful, both financially and in her business. And she's also inspiring many other women now to become more independent, more strong in whatever it is that they're doing, and not to give up, and really to remember that there's so much strength in your own confidence in yourself if you just keep going and you just don't give up. Last person I wanted to mention is Nick Vujicic. I hope I pronounced his last name right, but he's a very unique person I learned about a few years ago. He's Australian, and he was actually born without arms and legs, and he was also taught that he's not going to be able to amount to much. He was actually suicidal in his younger years, thinking that his life is going to be miserable. But he was able to pick himself up and really practice his own faith and determination. And now he's a world known speaker. He travels around the world inspiring other people to succeed. And he's married with two wonderful children and really able to just pick himself up from such tough beginnings and show all of us that if somebody like that can succeed and create a beautiful life, all of us can, and really put things in perspective when we think we're not capable of doing something. you can always find somebody who has done and accomplished something similar to what you want to, or something that maybe you have gone through that someone else have already been through in the past. And that is the beautiful power of social media, that we can really read and learn about other people that are in fields that we want to reach to, or areas that we want to accomplish, and remember that we're never alone. There's so many people in the past who have gone through similar things and they were able to persevere, and there's so much value in learning about those people. Read autobiographies, watch documentaries about people who accomplished things that you want to accomplish, and that's going to give you so much strength and resiliency to remember that it is indeed possible. And lastly, I just wanted to share with you some resources, some fun things that can give you more strength in the future, from films and books. First of all, I included Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, who's a famous philosopher, Stoic philosopher. I really, really love his work. It's something I go back to over and over again. He writes a lot about the power of the mind, and again, the mindset we have, the way we think about things, how we can really choose to orient our mind and ourselves to not be so impacted by external influence and or external pressures, and just remain rooted in who we are and who we want to be, and gain a lot of strength from his wisdom. So I would really recommend reading his work. The second reference is a movie called Inside Out. This is a sequel that just came out recently. I watched it not too long ago. It was really adorable to see the director really putting together all this effect of how we have emotions like fear and disgust and anger and sadness, and how they all are combined together in our psyche in order to guide us and help us show that we are such complex creatures. We're not just one or two sides. There's many sides to us, and the more we accept ourselves and give space and room to all sides of ourselves, it's going to also give us resiliency, because we're going to remember that we are actually so much more capable when we accept our emotions and our feelings, and also not run away from them, but rather really confront whatever it is that's faced in front of us. The third reference is a power by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now. He's a very famous German author. If you haven't read about this book already, he's basically teaching a lot of mindfulness and awareness practices that bring us into the present moment and help us not to get stuck in regret or anxiety about the future. So, not thinking too much about the past or what will happen later, but just really being here in the present moment, and remember that this is the moment of power for you, because this is where you can actually make a difference. We can't change the past. We cannot predict the future. All we have is this very moment, and those small choices that we make is going to give you a lot of strength and a lot of confidence, because you're going to realize that you actually have a lot of freedom and a lot of possibilities at your hand every single moment, if you just remind yourself and really bring yourself back to that present moment. And the last film I wanted to include, it's called Where Did You Go, Bernadette, with Kate Blanchett. It's a really interesting film of a woman who sort of left her path. She got away from her passion. She got frustrated in her career as an architect, had some betrayals and some tough situations that basically threw her off her resiliency. And she kind of went into this escapism mode. And then the film really beautifully shows how she goes back to finding her power and her strength. And even though she felt initially inadequate to cope with whatever it is that she did, she was able to recruit her strength and find her inner strength that was already inside of her, and go on this incredible adventure. And I don't want to tell you too much about it, but it just shows a beautiful power also of resiliency, and reminding yourself of all the tools and skills that you already have inside of you if you just choose to believe and continue and not give up, and really just carry on with whatever it is that you want to accomplish. So, I hope this workshop really gave you a lot of inspiration and tools to continue. If you do have any questions, you can look below. There's the address of my website, wayoflife.earth, or you can also contact Low Entropy. If you have any questions or comments, they can message me. If you have any requests for future topics, things that you want to talk about in the future, please let me know. And I wish you all a really great rest of the week. And I trust that you make all the great choices for yourself to really go take yourself to the next level.